Hi everyone,
Let's be
hello.
professionals.
We are live.
Hello.
So,
Hi there.
welcome. Tonight we have a guest. Since you people know that me and Snor are too stupid, tonight we have someone that actually understands something and he is going to talk to us about the German elections. So,
And help
welcome.
us understand what the hell is going on, to be honest, because I've kind of lost it now.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a bit complicated, you know?
it's yeah, as we talked in the pre-show, it's really exciting from a German point of view, having Merkel go out and after 16 years, and people are used to voting for Merkel, and it has always worked out, and
Isn't
now there's this chaos,
Isn't
right?
it a bit scary though? Like, it's on one hand, it's exciting because it's something new, probably. On the other hand, you were used to Merkel, everything was fine. Now you never know what could happen.
Yeah, but it wasn't everything good with Merkel.
No,
So
I mean, I think everyone, I would imagine in Germany, most people, both those on Merkel's side and against her, would say that Germany has its issues, some of which should have been addressed probably, but mostly it has been fine. Like,
yeah,
it's not like
but
no one
it's like,
hates Merkel mostly, I would imagine.
yeah, I used to say I would never vote for CDU, but Merkel is all right.
Yeah,
That's
she's
that's
above it, basically.
that's what
Yeah.
I used to say.
I
But
mean, yeah.
in retrospective, I, I'm I'm working in the digital field, and hey, in Germany you don't have like unlimited volume for your mobile phone, and all that bullcrap that you pay lots and lots of money to get really slow internet, and she really fucked that one up.
I mean, looking at Merkel, right? She is the oldest, as far as I know, the oldest or the longest sitting a member of the European Council at the moment, as well,
Yeah,
isn't she?
yeah.
I think second
Rutte
place.
is close.
Yeah, I think second place is actually Orban, funnily enough, by a few
Ah,
days.
okay.
So
So,
it's got competition.
can't call
But
Orban a dictator since Merkel has been there longer. Sorry, Germany.
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
I think
But
that's how it works.
yeah, exactly. But the thing is, I mean, I mean, I see this in the Netherlands as well. You know, people don't dislike the government, as it were, enough to vote against it, as it were. So there's like it's the status quo versus
Yeah, I mean,
the need for change, as it were. You know, so
Merkel is the safe choice,
with this,
right?
yeah, Merkel's
Yeah.
a safe choice, and you know,
She's
whatever
And
the things are, for example, digital
yeah,
development in Germany, and
yeah.
you
She's
know,
she's not going to give you excitement. She's not going to
no,
do huge changes. But on the other hand, that means that she's not going to make huge changes that might be bad changes. You know. So uh,
she has always had a good, yeah, how you call it, a good nose, um, to say the right things at the right time.
yeah,
So when she said in 2015, like, yeah, we will welcome the refugees, it that wasn't the narrative the CSU in Bavaria pushed. For example, she opposed the own party
yeah.
quite strong.
Now, just for my clarity, right? The CSU and the CDU are, in principle, the same party in parliament, but
Yeah.
they have different. What's the difference basically between the CDU and the
So
CSU?
but this
so the CDU is in 15 of 16 states, and the CSU is in one of 16 states,
the best one
and
though.
that is Bavaria.
Okay.
The best
So
state. the
So
most
the
money.
CSU is the Bavarian CDU.
Bavaria and CDU, and there's no need to basically merge those two at any point. They're very happy being themselves, as it were.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
thing though
because
is,
the Bavarians are very happy to be Bavarians, so
yeah,
they need their own kind of brand of CDU.
aren't
Yeah,
they a
yeah.
bit different though? Like as far as from the outside, it looks like the CDU is more like center right, while CSU is more right leaning compared to
Yeah,
the CDU.
there's a famous, very, very famous quote from Josef Strauss, who was one of the most famous leaders of CSU in the past times somewhere. I don't know really. And Josef Strauss said, "There's no party right of the CSU in Germany."
Yeah. Yeah,
Right,
if
yeah.
you go right of CSU, you're pretty much a Nazi, which is
Yeah,
what AFD.
AFD is exactly.
Yeah, pretty much. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like, as far as I know, there AFD and CSU have some issues, as in one tries to get votes from the other to some degree. So,
yeah. The CDU heavily leaned to the right in all of Germany for this election because they want to stop the AfD, stealing votes from them.
yeah, which never really works that well. I mean, the thing is,
Yeah,
if people want a fascist party, they're going to vote the actual fascist party. Why vote to the a bit less fascist, you know?
yeah.
So it doesn't
You are
work
not the
that well.
original. You are the copycat.
Yeah, why vote you if I can vote the
Yeah,
actual one?
yeah,
And
yeah.
and it's not like
And, and
you know, the original one really means it, while the copycat might maybe not doesn't mean it as much. It's easier for them, for CDU, if it goes right, it can just as easily go left, so more on the center. Meanwhile, if you vote AFD, you know that
Yeah.
they're going to be there.
You
Yeah,
you,
exactly.
you could argue that Merkel pushed the CDU to the left because she was very much from the left wing of the party.
yeah. I mean,
Merkel was also from the from East Germany, from former East
Yeah,
Germany,
yeah.
which also gives her a bit, because I mean I've seen maps of the voting districts in Germany, and you can see the divide still in politics
Absolutely,
between
absolutely.
the Western German and the Eastern German people at the moment. I think.
I would
Yeah,
imagine since Germany has had the Grand Coalition for quite a while, in different forms, but CDU and SPD have been in government together for quite a while. It's a lot. I mean, it's almost obvious that the CDU is going to be seen as more left-leaning, since they are in government with a left-wing party. So they uh, they can't be as right-wing as they would normally be. They
yeah,
have to be more centrist
and
that way.
and most of the wins the SPD had in this coalition were claimed by the CDU in the end
Yeah,
because they were the bigger party, right?
Yeah.
They had the chancellor, and they are the bigger party, so they claimed all the victories, all the
Yeah.
things the SPD pushed for.
yeah, because it's not like the CDU begrudgingly does that. All of the things that the SPD was behind, the CDU made them their own, kinda. So obviously, it's you can see how people would see the party going a bit more on the left. I mean, for example, Merkel is the one that's made LGBT marriage possible, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
that's
But
not
she
something you
said,
expect from a right-wing party. Even if she said you can vote on your conscience, which
yeah,
she didn't give the party there wasn't a party line saying you have to vote for it. But on the other hand, it is a right-wing party doing something quite progressive. I mean, not even left-wing parties managed to do that in some places. So, I mean,
yeah, and she framed it very good. She said, like, I wouldn't vote for it, but I give the choice to the parliament.
Yeah.
right? And so that was the most democratic move she could make in this regard.
Well, I mean, I think everyone can agree, even if you have political views which are like on the opposite spectrum from Merkel, everyone can agree that as far as being a politician and knowing how to do that job, she's probably the best. I mean, there is a reason why she has been there for quite a while.
Yeah.
Like we all say that she doesn't do enough, but on the other hand, she does some things sometimes, maybe not enough, maybe a bit too late, but not too late. It's not like
She's not a progressive, right? Sure.
no, but she's not like we say she's the status quo, but she's not as conservative about it. I guess you could say.
She's not bound to it, right?
Yeah, she's a bit more fluid. Like she sees what the situation is. She sees if what the nation where it stands. So instead of working, for example, when it comes to LGBT marriage, instead of going against it, making it like her own thing, being against it, she just went about it in a neutral way. So people on the left
there's more
can't hate
to
her
that,
for it,
actually.
you know.
I'd like to cut in there, Dante, because
Yeah.
as far as I've seen, the MO of Merkel is basically she tells a minister to do it, right? To do anything that she thinks is controversial. If it goes wrong, she blames the minister. Right?
Yeah, that's
She
a
just
great plan.
goes,
Why not?
with her hands in that typical position that she always has them in,
Yeah.
And then she just goes, well, it was his fault.
To be fair,
So,
to some degree,
she is a very kind of politically savvy player as well in that.
to be fair, the
She knows
chancellor
exactly.
in Germany doesn't have as much power as a prime minister in Italy or semi-president like Macron in France. Like the chancellor has obviously it's quite a lot of power, but I think it's lower compared to the British prime minister or even the Italian one. I don't know if you can confirm that as far.
Yeah, on the protocol, she's number 3 in Germany.
Okay, yeah.
But that's just the protocol, because the president is number 1.
Yeah.
And the president of the parliament is number 2.
Okay, right.
Yeah. I mean,
so she has to mollify them as well, as it were, in some cases.
but obviously, it's not like I mean, she does decides everything, obviously, but even when by the protocol, it's like that. And it is a federal country, so states have more of a say in things compared to, for example, Italy or France.
You could see that in the COVID crisis here some month ago, where they had a meeting of the how is it called? The leader of the executive of the states, so 16 of them, and Merkel met in Berlin to discuss how they implement the different rules, how to wear a mask, and so on and so on. Have the children go to school, blah, 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 blah. And it was always like they discussed something and they had a plan, a federal plan, so to say. Yeah. And then all the prime ministers go back to their states and say, "Oh no, we don't have to implement it like the federal way because we are a state level. We can do whatever we like to."
And then do shit.
Yeah. And so it was like Laschet in good old North Rhine-Westphalia, where I reside, had the FDP, the Liberals, as a coalition partner here. So they barely made a lockdown or something like that. They just said, "Fuck it, we get through it, and we need our freedom." Blah
blah blah.
Oh dear,
They freedom to get COVID, you know.
Yeah. And of course,
which just saying, in Italy we have talks about making the vaccination mandatory period. Just saying. that so
I read about that on Eurocast that Draghi in Italy is really pushing for this. He's it's nice to have a technocrat sometimes.
The thing is, he has almost every party behind him as well. So I don't know if we'll get there. Depends a lot on how things go. But if it becomes necessary, I think it might happen. And I think it would be interesting to see what happens then around Europe. Because I would imagine
exactly.
if Italy starts doing it, others might. I can easily see France doing it as
France as
well.
well.
And once
Germany,
you have
Germany, not
Italy
so
and
much.
France,
Only the Netherlands.
maybe in Germany some states might do it. I don't know if states can do it, to be honest. Maybe it's too much for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would have to be on a federal level, I imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the same thing here in the Netherlands.
But
And
it
that
depends.
changes the whole thing, because I mean, now, you know, Merkel's going to be gone. You know,
she
it's,
can
how
she
many
can do
days is
whatever
now?
she
So
wants, you know.
It's like around 20 days, I
20
think.
days to go, exactly.
Well, not really though.
21 or something.
Well, for the elections, but I don't think that you are going to get a coalition in one day.
Yeah. It will last until
But it will
Christmas.
be really interesting to see it. So who are the lead candidates then? You've got Armin Laschet, right?
Yes.
So wait, before you do that, can you give us a brief overview? Because you have to remember we have people that either know nothing about German politics or know a bit but not know the names. So give us a brief overview.
So-
brief overview about the parties.
Parties and their leaders and what they stand for.
Yeah, okay. Where do I start? Okay. So the CDU and the CSU are the typical Christian conservatives in Germany. A very large party in the European Parliament as well, belonging to the EPP. And then you have the Social Democrats, called SPD, one of the oldest parties in Germany, and I think in Europe as well. So classical Social Democrats. They belong to the S&D group in the European Parliament, of course. Now, in the last election, the AfD, the far-right party, was on third place. But they lost, luckily. So they are only on fourth or fifth place this election.
Okay.
Just let me introduce for a second. Just when it comes to AfD, they are on a. It's a bit different their situation compared to other European countries because everyone has gone on record saying they would not have a coalition with them. So
they've been excluded from any coalition talks between any of the other parties, haven't they?
So in theory, I mean, let's be honest, this is not how it actually works in the real world. But in theory, unless they get more than 50% of the seats, even if they got 45%, they would not be able to govern.
No.
At the very least, not with the current parties, unless there's a new party that would be able would do it.
Yeah. We had an incident some month ago in Thüringen, in Thüringer, where it was very Die Linke, the left party, had a coalition with SPD and the Greens, and after the election it was very close, so they decided that they would try to govern with the minority government. But the election was secret.
Okay.
And so the first round of election failed. And that was because some people of the FDP and the CDU don't vote for a left guy.
Yeah.
Right? They promised to do, because otherwise a minority government wouldn't happen at all. But they didn't do
in
it.
the end, they didn't.
So they
How nice of them, you know.
they tried to show their force, right? So there was the second round of election, and suddenly the FDP guy stepped forward and said, "Oh, I will try as well."
Oh yeah.
So
the compromise candidate, as it were.
Yeah. So SPD, Greens, and Die Linke said we won't vote for the FDP guy.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the election was secret as well, and he
How
got
is the
vote.
election secret, though? How can you have a secret election in that
Yeah,
case?
because of the minority government.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So nobody has to be blamed for voting for Die Linke, right?
Oh, yeah, I see.
So, and suddenly the guy was voted in, and
Yeah.
that was only possible with the votes of the AfD. So it was clear there was a liberal guy that was voted in with the votes of the liberals, the conservatives, and the far right.
Nazis. Yeah, and the Nazis. Basically,
And-
let's be
and-
honest, right? The AfD is a
Yeah,
party which has many connections to so many very, very shady far right groups. You can't not say that they're Nazis, you know.
They even moved further to the right in the recent years. It's really disgusting.
Exactly.
So-
I mean, in the fact that they still, I mean, you will always have these groups in parliament. We have them as well, obviously. You know, the Nazi apologists, as it were.
Yeah,
But I think the good thing is that this election not only has everyone just said no, we're not working with you, but you know that their poll numbers are also really bad. You know the German public obviously doesn't have any truck with the far right, which is a very a very hopeful thing actually.
They have some hotspots in the east.
Yeah.
But they lost in the rest of Germany quite some percentages.
Is Linke mostly on the east as well?
Yeah. So they are.
So wait, what you're telling me is that uniting Germany was wrong?
No.
Keep West and that's it.
So it's still historical.
Yeah, I know.
So,
To some degree, I know that it's.
But to get back to the election, right?
Yeah, we.
So the surprising thing to me is
Wait! Before you do that,
Oh, yeah.
our guest here didn't finish because I stopped him. So the other parties.
so we have the FDP. They are the classical liberals, but with a very economical focus. So very neoliberal economic.
Not really
party.
not really progressive in the social stance, right? It's more like it's more
They
liberal.
are called the Doctors' Party in Germany. Because if you are a doctor, you vote for FDP.
Interesting. Because
If you have the money to not pay less money, that's pretty much how it works.
In the European Parliament, they're in the RE faction, aren't they?
Yeah. They are, in my opinion, they are the rightest party in the RE faction.
Okay, yeah. If you take the spectrum, they're right on the edge with the EPP, basically.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay,
absolutely. That is why their lead candidate Lindner is very cozy to the CDU and CSU.
Oh yeah. Okay, so he'll do whatever they say because they're the biggest party in the end. In the coming elections, anyway.
So in all interviews he gave in the recent months, he always said that it will be a CDU CSU government and he will join it. So that's his plan. That's his narrative. So.
But now the narrative's kind of been upset, and this is what I was kind of getting at, you know.
So let me finish with the parties that are in the parliament at the moment. The Greens, obviously the party with the ecologic footprint. and they gained a lot in recent years. Month they dropped a bit. And we have Die Linke, the left, so the party that's most to the left. I wouldn't call them far left because
I would.
they are not a commie party, right?
They are not the commie party, but they are the commies, you know. I mean,
They have obviously they have some members that are from Marxist Leninist background, but we have other smaller left-wing parties that are even further to the left.
But they're basically there's a cap, isn't there? You have to have 5%.
5%, right? Yeah.
Of the electorate behind you to get into parliament. So those really don't matter at the moment.
Or you have to win 3 how's it called, mandates.
Oh, okay.
If you win 3 direct mandates, you join the Bundestag as well.
Okay.
Regardless of percentage.
So
we might actually see Die Partei just showing up.
If you look at the map of the direct mandates, you don't see anyone expect CDU, SPD, a bit AfD, some Linke, and some Greens.
Because I must say, for people that don't know, Die Partei is like a spoof party as well. And they've been actively campaigning as well, and I must say the memes are epic.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would the FW be?
FW are the free voters.
Okay.
So Freie Wähler in German. They are like you're a bit between FDP and CDU. So they are kind of, I don't know.
Okay, because I'm seeing them at 3%. So
that's if you gain 3% in any poll, you will show up because there's the margin of error. So it could always be that the 3% are 5%, and you would suddenly join the Bundestag.
So probably not likely, I would imagine, but if they manage to, they could help a right-wing coalition, I guess.
They would join CDU, CSU, and FDP. So they are not extremists or something like that. They are just another blend of conservative.
So
they are very strong in Bavaria. In fact, they are governed in Bavaria together with the CSU.
So you were saying earlier, looking at the polls, we might have for the first time in years, in 16 years, a left-wing government instead of a right-wing government, which I mean, me and Snor were centrist, so as long as it's center, whatever, it's mostly fine. But I can see that it would be quite a big difference for Germany, especially when the left would have the Greens, which are somewhat radical in some of their, when it comes to ecological stuff. So
when you ask German lefties, they would say that the Greens are basically the CDU with a green paint on it.
I can see that, but on the thing is, their green policies are radical, even if the rest isn't. That would be something that, if they are part of the government, you would see probably some relatively radical changes when it comes to environment laws. I would imagine, at least. Otherwise, they would probably die.
They would take the Paris Agreement serious.
Yeah, I would hope they do even more than that. But that would be... so no matter what, even if there isn't much change on the other aspects. Even just that, you would see big changes in Germany, even if it's just green, because if you say green stuff, it pretty much means everything. So that can be a lot. Then obviously you have Linke, which, as you know, I don't like them much. I know that, so last time, in the last elections, I remember there was on German TV. When you don't know what to do, you watch German TV.
Yeah.
Kind of. No, I didn't watch the actual German TV. I just watched a recording on YouTube of that. I'm not that sad, but it was.
You're not that old, you know. You don't sit in a chair and watch TV anymore.
Yes.
Nobody in their right mind would watch German TV.
So it was interesting because it was mostly about foreign policy, which when it comes to Germany, its foreign policy it's mostly do nothing. So it was interesting to see that, how it would have been.
The biggest Switzerland you can get.
So each party had a candidate which would be their foreign minister if that party was to win. Obviously, it's not how it works when you have to make a coalition and everything else, but it's like their guy saying the views of the party when it comes to foreign policy. So it was quite important, I remember. So obviously it's not like having Merkel or whatever have a speech. It's not that level, but it's still quite important. And back then, they had quite anti-Euro views, but not in the commie sense. I don't know, they're not commies, but in the left sense, which is the EU is an economic union, liberalism, whatever. So more on the, not as much like the French Mélenchon, that kind, but the kind of anti-EU that the left can get, which is sometimes pro-EU, sometimes anti-EU. I know that they are
like
less.
On the edge, yeah, exactly.
I know you said that last time they are less anti-EU as I feared, so maybe that's not too bad. But then they have quite interesting views when it comes to Russia, NATO, and the army. So they're not necessarily, which I actually don't even understand, to be honest, but they're not like allies with Russia or whatever, but they're not that vocally against
Russia
them.
being Russia, basically. That's
the German left, even the Social Democrats have always been very cozy with Russia,
which I don't really understand.
Yeah, it has its roots in the appeasement politics after the Second World War, with Willy Brandt being German chancellor from the SPD, who went to Russia to get get in touch, basically.
The thing though is, back then Russia was communist, so left-wing parties were causing with Russia around Europe, obviously. Like that's how it was back then. The thing is, right now Russia is pretty much a fascist country, so why would the left not I understand that you want to not poke the bear too much. Like I can understand that point of view, but being more of a even Merkel, which is like the status quo, the stable, strong and stable, whatever, even she speaks out against Russia. So it's a bit weird seeing how the left wing, the most left party, isn't against Russia. Meanwhile, in other European countries, they usually, at least, they are against Russia. So
I think it's nostalgia.
they still have hope that the commies can come back.
Yeah. I have talked to several people from the left here in Germany, and some of them just said, "Yeah, it's not about Putin; it's about the Russian people." So,
yeah,
they are a huge country in Europe, and we can't scare them away. We have to build bridges. We have to bring them democracy. That's the
Yes,
narrative.
doesn't. I mean, the thing is, in itself, that's not a bad message. But then, if you actually not go against Putin, that's not much. Like, sure, build
No.
bridges, but if you
Yeah.
then don't speak out against stuff that Russia does, you're not helping much.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on that point. Absolutely.
And then there is the big elephant in the room, which is, I do hope, I think they're less vocal about it, so I guess that's a good thing. But
Just some hours ago, they leaked a rapid program they wrote in case of coalition building with SPD and Greens, where they explicitly left NATO out.
Okay.
so I guess that's a good thing. But like, I know it's different, but it's like saying if Lega, because it's a bit different from AfD. Let's say Lega says, I'm going to put that if I go in a coalition, I'm going to leave out that I want to leave the EU. Okay,
Yeah.
might go well on that coalition, but it's not like the greatest view that you are with them. They want to leave the EU, they're just not doing it because the coalition.
Yeah.
So same thing when it comes to Link. So we have been going about it a bit, going on rounds. They want to leave NATO, but not in the Macron sense. Not because they want to make a European army. They want to leave NATO and abolish the German army. They just want no army at all. And I guess they want Putin to be their new daddy. I think that's how it works.
Yeah.
Daddy Putin, exactly. I mean, he's basically the one of the foreign policy challenges for Germany. But there's obviously other ones as well. I mean, how would, for example, Germany react to what's going on in Afghanistan?
Not by not.
But I mean, the SPD would be more amenable to talking with the Taliban, for example. The Americans would like, maybe. And I've heard, for example, yesterday that Germany might also be joining the Five Eyes program from the United States thingy. So, I mean, the United States still has a lot of leverage on Germany, and is still fairly popular, despite all the problems that Trump and Biden have done.
So the thing that
they lost a lot under Trump, right?
Yeah.
The thing though is that, to be honest, it's different, but it's kind of the same when it comes to it's that sentiment of when they link and some like the people that have that same position. If they want to leave NATO and abolish the German army and everything else, the thing is they could really actually. We were joking about Putin, but the truth is Germany could abolish its army tomorrow and nothing will change. But that's because only if you are okay with not giving a shit about your allies. If you are saying if tomorrow Lithuania needs your help, you don't care. It's because
exactly.
the reason you are
and yet you're in the EU, and so you can't.
You are abolishing your army because you're not bordering Germany. You're bordering Russia. You just have allies. So you don't care about the security of the others. Others can take care about the security of the others. And you just do nothing, which is I think a bit infuriating, to be honest.
Nice stance, but that basically brings in. I mean, if they're against NATO, they must be for a European version of an army or armed forces. Or
the thing is, they're not, because if they want to literally abolish their own army, not to replace it with another one. They just want no army. That just means they want nothing to do. with
Yeah,
it.
but having Die Linke in power would probably, as a coalition partner, would not give them any
Yeah, this
Uh,
is
any
so.
it's
foreign
impossible for
any
them to do it,
foreign
unless they have
leverage.
a majority in parliament, which
Yeah,
will
obviously, as
hopefully never happen.
I was
Yeah,
talking with my dear guest and friend here, Neutral, and mod team. Just saying, not
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah,
a
yeah.
random person here.
This is like a mod chat at the moment, isn't it?
Pretty much. Uh, there is like the on the pragmatic side of things, we all know that Linke can do shit. It's
Yeah, yeah.
even if they going in the even if they did if they had it like as one of their main issues or whatever,
Yeah,
if they
yeah, yeah,
went
yeah.
in a coalition, the Green and SPD would never do that. And
Yeah, yeah,
even
yeah,
if
exactly.
somehow they let them do something, I would imagine abolishing the army needs some kind of constitutional change. I don't think
Yeah,
the
yeah,
German
yeah.
constitution says, yeah, fuck it, you
Yeah,
know?
you need a super majority, is what you're saying, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I
yeah,
think
yeah.
it would be mostly fine on the pragmatic side of things. Nothing would happen, but
yeah.
it's
As
not
far as I
a nice
understand it,
view of things.
the Die Linke tries to join the government because they have been an opposition party for all of their existence on a
Yeah.
federal level, and they have proven themselves in recent years on a state level.
Hmm.
And now they are keen to join a government.
Yeah, yeah. To get legitimacy for themselves as well. I
Yeah,
could imagine that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
I
thing though
mean,
is,
And
I,
they are pushing on social policies mostly at the moment.
yeah, because
yeah,
I think that's all they can do. The thing is, at
yeah,
the end of the day, if you understand proving yourself on the state level, but yes and no, as in, it is better than nothing, but on the state level, you can't abolish NATO. You can't do that. You can't do the major laws. I know
yeah.
it's a federal country, so you can do a bit more than like a regional president here in Italy, but still, you're not on the federal level. You don't have the power to do huge changes.
If you are in a government, you are kind of on the federal level because you are sitting in the Bundesrat,
Yeah, in the upper
the
chamber.
federal council.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so you have a seat there, and you can decide on federal law.
I guess that's a fair point, but um, the thing, yes, you do decide, but it's different if you're not part of the government of the coalition.
Absolutely,
So
Yeah.
you are not the executive
yeah,
of the
you
federal.
are not the one that actually decides
Yeah.
the direction the country goes towards. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
you can do it on the state level, but as I said, the things you can do there, even if you are in the one in power, are a lot less. So, for example, if you want to make gay marriage legal, you can't do it at a state level. You need to
Yeah.
do it
Yeah.
at the federal level.
Yeah.
So I understand proving yourself to some degree it's better than nothing, obviously. But even if it was AFD, I would imagine on the state level, even then they can't do that much. It's not like even if they have extremist views, they can't act on them much on the state level. Meanwhile, on the federal level, yes, you still have the constitution, but you are a bit more. You have a bit more leeway. So, in theory, they could do a bit more. But I do know that obviously SPD and Green, they wouldn't let them do much. And then at most, if actually they went on, let's abolish the German army, I'm quite sure you need to change a few articles of the constitution. I don't think it's that easy, you know?
Yeah. 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 I think. I mean. Not only that, but they'd have to break a number of international treaties, and that would probably not go around well.
You know, the thing
I
is,
mean, to be
actually,
honest, they'd probably have to leave the EU.
uh,
So
well, I mean, I don't think so. We have,
yeah, because you're part of the
yeah, we have,
CSP, or you're not. I
we
mean,
have
it's very simple.
European countries without an army. Luxembourg
No,
doesn't have an army. Come on.
yes, they do.
But
Yes, they do.
it's like one
Those
guy.
those 20 boys in short shorts count, you know?
I think it's like one
The Boy
guy
Scouts,
on a
you know?
car, like on a truck maybe, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, you
Just
know,
one tank, you know, just driving around Luxembourg.
I think it's probably like, the Talibans, and they have like the Toyota with
Yeah,
the
yeah, 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 yeah,
AK
yeah.
like on the mountain on the back. I think that's the Luxembourg army. Germany could do that as well. Say, yeah, I have an army. It's that dude over there.
Oh, we did
But
that several
yeah,
times, right?
but I mean, NATO or not, you know, if they were out of NATO, they would still have to be part of the European defense
Yeah, with that one guy,
organization.
as Luxembourg
So, so,
does.
so it's not, you know, they can't go to the EU and say, I want out, you know, of this article because, you know, it's either all or nothing in the EU,
Yeah, yeah.
as we've
So
seen with Brexit. So, you know, it's not like they can, even then. I mean, I could imagine a scenario where Die Linke would support, for example, leaving NATO if NATO was to be, became obsolete. But I don't think they could get enough clout at any time for
yeah,
Germany to leave the EU under those terms, you know. So I think, you know, I mean, that's I think it's really academic kind of to talk about it because, you know, I mean,
yeah,
Die Linke will never have that power.
yeah. The thing though is,
Knock on wood, by the way, you know, because
I
we
understand
live in the
still.
age of Trump,
So
right? So we know everything is possible.
the thing is, I
Yeah,
understand that point of view, and
yeah,
to be honest, I wouldn't blame the SPD and Green for working with them if it comes to
mm,
that. Like, I
yeah,
wouldn't necessarily blame them, but even if it would never happen, and
mm,
I know it's a bit different when it comes to AFD because they have a bit more extremist views, to put
mm,
it mildly. But
yeah,
it would be like if CSU went, yeah, we are going to have a coalition, and if
mm,
so they help us on the things we want, and the things they
yeah,
are too extreme they want, we just don't do them.
mm,
It would be I mean, what we're saying is pretty much the same.
yeah,
Obviously, what AFD would propose
But
are a
the,
bit
the,
more
the
extreme
tone
things. So
the
I'm,
tone is very different.
yeah, I
The tone
understand.
is very different.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and I understand that point. Like, I understand that it would be uh, what they do propose. There are
mm,
some things that are actually like, let's become Nazis again, pretty much. So I
yeah,
understand that part. But
yeah,
the idea that I'm
Yeah,
willing to work with you because I
and
ignore the things that I don't like.
yeah,
so the both parties are sitting in the current Bundestag, right?
mm,
AfD and Linke.
yeah,
And Die Linke, their people, they're discussing really hard in the parliament, and they're doing all the stuff.
yeah,
And the AfD, they are just standing there and throwing shit,
yeah,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
They are not taking part in the
They're not
discussion.
constructive. There's no
Yeah.
constructive dialogue
So
going on between
that's a
them.
huge difference in
Yeah.
my point of view.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. You know, I mean, Die Linke. I mean, I can see that. You know, I mean, for example, the Grüne as well, the Greens. They also would like to have that legitimacy of government. You know, and maybe we can also talk a little bit about the possible coalitions which come from this. You know, I mean, there's a.
Yeah.
I hear terms like Jamaica, and I hear terms like. What is it, Burundi? I don't know. You know, a
Ge-
Burundi government. Let's go for that. And I'm like,
Germany
what
with
the,
its names.
you know, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, exactly. So in the polls right now, I mean, the SPD is in front because Lachette basically shat himself, right?
Hmm.
He, what was it? He smiled. He was caught laughing while he was touring the damaged German areas from the floods, I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
really hurt his reputation. And to be honest, I
Yeah.
mean, during the debate which happened last week, um, I mean, I didn't actually see it, but I did read the articles about it. He didn't really jump out as, you know,
Mm.
haha, you know, I'm a good candidate. I'm a good replacement for what Merkel has basically done, you know. whereas the leader of the SPD now, Olaf Scholz is it?
Right.
He's probably going to be the new chancellor, as it looks like now in the polls.
Yeah, he's quite good in giving that attitude, right? He has a Merkel style of being
question time here.
very calm and
So the
and
CDU
don't answer the questions, right?
So the CDU literally a year ago, until as I'm seeing here, until February of last year, February of this year was at 36%. Then it went a bit downhill. Then last month it was 30%, and it's now at 21%. Now they did
got
a bit badly because of the new leadership, as you were saying. Do you think, is it possible that in these coming weeks, with the election coming up and all of whatever happens, there I would imagine there's going to be talks and stuff. So it's when elections are coming, polls go up and down quite a lot more quickly. Do you think CDU could regain some of those votes back? I don't think going again up to 36%, but could they become
some years
the
ago?
first
Some
party?
years ago, I would have said no way, because some years ago, German polling was very much a one-way street, right? When something happened, it stayed that way. But nowadays, the polls are so volatile, and people don't have this. I voted for the CDU all my life, so I will vote for CDU this time around again. They don't have this any longer.
Yeah.
Perhaps the CDU voters have this, the strong CDU voters have this, but all the other parties, they are like on and off. And so I think
I mean, the thing is, I'm
it's
seeing
possible.
here the 3rd of August, so a month ago, CDU was at 26 and SPD at 18. Now I mean, they're not opposite, but in just 1 month, the difference is a lot, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the CDU was first challenged by the Greens, and then the Greens made the mistake that they said that Annalena Baerbock would be their candidate, which
was that
which
around
isn't.
May? Because
That might be right. Yeah.
you know what? Let me put this. I'm looking at a graph of the polls in the last year, and it's really interesting to see how around May you have the Greens going up, and then it was even the first party around May, and then it goes down a lot.
Yeah, and I don't think so. I really like Annalena Baerbock
Yeah,
as a candidate.
I
So
posted it.
I think she's smart and she knows what the Greens want, but there was a huge smear campaign against her, and she's not that experienced that she can fend it off.
Yeah.
Right? So there was this huge smear campaign from the conservative media, and that really upsets the Greens.
Yeah.
And the Greens really they didn't know what to do against this pile of shit.
Yeah. Coming their way, basically.
Yeah.
So
and then the flood came, right? And the flood was a huge warning that climate change is real and that the Greens might have a point, but the damage was done.
Yeah, that was it, basically.
Yeah, and now the CDU falls again, and yeah, the lucky ones are the SPD and Scholz.
Yeah. Basically, the CDU managed to by undermining the Greens, the CDU managed to make the SPD more attractive.
Yeah.
They managed to basically raise it from the dead.
I was wondering, do you think that SDU going down in the polls and making a left-wing coalition possible
Yeah.
might make people on the left vote SPD again? Especially maybe those that were going to vote Greens because they didn't want to vote second SDU, like SDU light, which SPD was becoming that for most people. But since now SPD might be the first party, they might want to vote there to make it the first party. So even if it becomes a coalition of SPD and CDU or whatever, if the first party is the left one, they expect it to be act like the center-left parties instead of just votes for Merkel. Do you think that might be happening?
So when Merkel is the most left politician of the CDU, Olaf Scholz may be the most right politician of the SPD. So he's dead center.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that is why he can attract CDU voters as well.
Okay, that's interesting. Do you think would that not lose people on the left to the Greens, though?
Yeah, I think the three parties are giving voters from another to another at the moment.
Oh, okay, I understand what you mean.
So as I said, some people on the left say that the Greens are basically the CDU with the green paint on it. So of course, when I'm a conservative voter and I realize, oh, climate change is real, perhaps I should vote the Greens instead.
Which I mean, it's interesting to see that the Greens have been mostly flat, even after. I mean, you would imagine after the floods that would help them. Did they not? I mean, it seems like they're not able to ride that, I guess.
Yeah, because the media instantly said there are people dying in the floods. You can't use that for your election campaign.
Yeah, I mean, I understand back then, but I would imagine now it's a bit far from that. So I would.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. I think the Greens are really shocked after that smear campaign. They didn't really recover from that up until now.
I mean, I guess since they've never been in government either, I think.
And they have been with the SPD in the early 2000s with Gerhard Schröder.
Okay, but
the guy who's now licking the boots of Mr. Putin.
Yeah, great. So it has been quite a while. I was going to ask, do you think the upper echelons of the Greens are not too well versed in the politics of, let's say, going from a movement to a party, so having to deal with the smear campaigns, having to deal with nice words, okay, but let's actually do something that, because this is something that happened with the Movimento 5 Stelle in Italy to some degree, when they were
it's comparable.
when they had to go into government, they found themselves not having many people up in the upper echelons to be able to actually do stuff. Like, even if there are some, it's a lot harder to go from nice ideas to actually make them concrete and have what you propose become what you want.
They have the personal because they are sitting in several states and they are sitting in the European Parliament, so they really have people with knowledge. But it was the first time that they actually put up a chancellor candidate at all. The Greens never put up a chancellor candidate.
Yeah,
so it was the first time that they were over 20% in Germany, right?
Yeah, that's
so they really had a chance, and so
and they blew it.
They blew it, right?
So speaking about the Greens, what about Volt? Are they going to run as a party? Are they just going to endorse the Greens? How does that work?
They are running. I saw posters hanging around here in the city, and I don't think that they will get the 5% hurdle.
Yeah.
But in Germany, you need, I think, 0.5%. If you have 0.5%, you will get state money for election expenses.
Okay, understand. So it's more
So
about having their name up there, out there.
yeah. So I think they will get 0.5% in all of Germany. That's quite possible. So they will get election expenses, and they have their posters up, so people get to know the name of Volt.
It's more of a campaign for legit. I mean,
Would
it's always a campaign for legitimacy in politics in any case.
the thing is,
And I think,
do you get votes though? Like the thing is, they can't even when it comes to small parties, they always have to say we are trying to hit to aim for the minimum amount, whatever. Like we are going to be more than 5%. You can't say vote for us because we need to reach 0.5%, so we don't have to pay. No one is going to vote you that way. But on the other hand, I don't think anyone expects it to get even more than 1%. I would imagine. So, I mean, mostly I
Yeah.
do wonder what sort of person would vote for Volt instead of the Greens, for example, which is, I think, the closest you can get in Germany.
yeah. I mean, it depends on how much you believe that it basically matters to you. I mean, so it's more of a protest vote than anything else. Then, if you don't want
Yeah,
to vote for SPD.
or a movement vote,
Yeah,
right?
or a movement vote. Yeah, exactly. And I
And
think,
and you
I
have
mean, yeah, you probably see it have some votes, but it's all about getting the name out there at this point. I think for Volt. So
yeah, and you have lots of small parties in
yeah,
Germany
yeah,
that
yeah,
nobody knows because they never reach 5%.
Yeah, I
exactly,
mean,
exactly.
other than the
We,
Netherlands, where they all reach the parliament
Yeah,
somehow, I think it's the case in most of Europe. I
yeah,
mean, but in Italy, we literally have the Communist Party, we have the Fascist Party, we have all of them. They don't get even the 0.5%,
yeah,
but we have all of those parties. But then
yeah.
no one knows about them because they don't get
Exactly,
anywhere.
exactly. I'm just looking at the list of parties um, in the actual elections, and there's like hundreds in Germany, man. It's just I just
Meanwhile, in the
for everyone
Netherlands,
on Twitter.
in the Netherlands, there are hundreds of parties in the parliament, pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
we
Yeah,
we we have them on the ballot.
yeah,
The Dutch have them in the parliament.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
pretty
yeah.
much.
Oh, shit. Oh dear, oh dear. And I'd like to just mention we've been more than 200 days without a government now. It's just going fine. So, it's not like it's going to be anything
Told you
special. I
though.
mean, everyone thinks Merkel is going to leave, but she will have to be in the caretaker government, I presume.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for quite a while
So
too, I would
for quite a
imagine.
while as until the SPD or the CDU take over, basically from the
Ah.
coalition talks.
The
And
thing is, going
yeah,
by the polls, at least right now, uh,
yeah.
it's not like SPD has 40% and the Greens have 20% and they
Yeah,
can just have the majority.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
they
exactly.
are all quite close, so I
It's
do expect coalition talks to last a
Yeah,
while.
I
yeah,
think
exactly.
it will be the first time no, not the first time, but the first time in recent history that a three-way government will be needed.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So
That's
that's why we are talking about SPD Greens plus
mm,
Linke.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So another possibility would be SPD Greens plus FDP.
Yeah, yeah,
And I said that Christian Lindner is basically licking the boots of Mr. Laschet.
By the way, just saying, according to the polls as of now, which doesn't mean anything, but if you just add them up, SPD, Greens, and Linke, that's 49%. It's not even that's not even a majority yet.
Yeah, but it's 49% including others. And other parties are polling around 7 to 9%. So they don't reach the parliament. So you have to cut them off, and then
obviously you
you
get
are
those
over.
seats. I mean,
Yeah.
that makes sense. So I guess if when you cut off all the ones that cut off those votes, kind of go
then
towards
it will
you.
be a majority.
They get split.
Barely.
Kinda.
Barely. So it'll have to be a tight government, basically.
But the thing is, it's which kind of scares me a bit more, because the more tight it is, the more Link has a voice. So
but you always have the possibility of liberals joining the government instead.
Right? That was a.
So that's basically the game they are playing right now.
I would imagine.
So SPD and Greens are very. Perhaps we're going with the Linke. Or we are not going with the Linke. Seeing.
Keeping Linke as the side chick while having FDP on the other side as well. That's
because Olaf Scholz is right at the center. People are expecting him to go with the liberals instead.
I mean, I could see that.
But the base of the SPD is very much to the left at the moment, because of all the grand coalition governments.
So there is something you said earlier, that the Greens are seen as CDU with a green paint. So are they not seen as left of SPD? So they're seen right of SPD?
It always comes down to who you ask.
Fair point.
On paper, most of the green politics are more to the left than the SPD. But if you are looking at, I don't know, green parties in Scandinavia, they are laughing about the German Greens.
I mean, obviously, but I was talking more in relationship to other, like to German politics. Obviously, if you look to Scandinavia, it's going to be a bit different.
And the Greens depend from state to state. The Greens are in government with the CDU in Baden-Württemberg, so southern state, west to Bavaria. Very huge automobile industry, and of course they are a very conservative.
Obviously. I mean, obviously, each state then has a bit. The center moves a bit in each state. I would say.
So
I guess
people are saying the more Greens from Baden-Württemberg you have on the federal level, the more to the right the Greens move.
I guess it's more. It's more important to what the SPD voters see Greens as, because if SPD voters see the Greens as left of them, accepting the liberals might not be too much of a burden, because they see we have one more on the left, one more on the right, we have on the center, we decide everything, makes sense. If they see the Greens on the right, they might want to have a left party to balance things out, I guess.
So I think most of the SPD voters don't like the liberals, because they are the doctors' party, right? The SPD is the workers' party, the liberals are the doctors' party. No way that we are working together.
So if you vote SPD, you would like to vote the liberals, but you have to vote SPD because you're not rich enough.
That's a good way of putting it, I think. But
the FDP has been more on the social side of liberal in the 70s. That's when they were in a government with the SPD. So there is a history of SPD and FDP joining together against the CDU. But that's not possible with Christian Lindner at the moment.
No.
Yeah,
So it's, I mean, it shows how much the personality matters in this election as well. You know?
Absolutely.
I mean, it used to be that people voted for a party that you know, whose policies they agreed with, or who traditionally are Christians or conservatives. You know, but now it's more, it's much more starting to be much more something about personality, like you have in the United States. You know,
I don't know if it's, I don't know how true that is though. I think we always said yes, there is the party part of it, but we always had the leadership part as well. When the SPD doesn't have a good leader, it suffers. When it has a good one, it does well. Even if the party in itself is the same. The thing though is that if you think about it, parties have a lot of things, a lot of issues they stand on. And what they choose to prioritize on, that's what you see, that's what the leader decides. So even if the positions are the same, if you're prioritizing something more on the social stuff, like saying, let's say LGBT rights, or if you are focusing more on economics, or if you are focusing more on the other stuff, that's how you change the way the leadership changes the party, even if the parties have the same position on stuff. And we had that forever. I mean, there is a country called Italy. We had a Berlusconi once, you know.
It's the TV guy, right?
And let's be honest. Do people really? Yes, they voted CDU, but they voted Merkel more than CDU. Just look at Merkel going away. The party is still the same, kinda. And look at how it's doing now.
I think because Merkel is moving out, the more conservative wing starts to gain more power. So that's something I witnessed.
Yeah, I mean, the thing, as I was saying earlier, depending on the leadership, the party changes. So saying
Absolutely.
that, I don't think it changed that just now leaders start to matter. I think it has always been that way. The difference between European politics, American politics, that in the US, having just two parties, it's just about the leaders, kinda, because they choose everything. There isn't much leeway.
But
In
you
Europe,
have these different wings inside the party as well.
yes, there are the wings which try to do few. They do try to influence it, but the way things are there, it's a lot harder. I mean, the left splinters in Europe. It doesn't splinter in the United States. You know, the thing is, it can splinter in Europe because they can just be two parties, and that way maybe the one more on the left gains vote, and that's how the left party become. Maybe they join again and becomes more on the left or more on the right. You know, it's a bit easier to change the dynamics when you can say, okay, I just split and beat you in the polls. Meanwhile, in the US, they don't have that power. So even if they don't split, they have that weapon to try to influence things.
Now, I've been googling a little bit as well. The support for the European army is quite interesting as well. How all parties basically, except for the AfD and Die Linke, want to go towards a more European approach.
See,
not
Link
just in
FD
the army.
and the AfD are the same. Fuck
Yeah.
them.
It's the old horseshoe theory, you know,
Yeah.
or the heart theory, or whatever you want to call it. But I mean, when we're looking at, you know, how much this is going to matter to Europe in general, I think having Germany as an SPD country, you know, together with Portugal, will start to matter on the European level as well. I can imagine. You know, I mean, if the
Spain as well, right?
sorry.
Spain as well.
Yeah, Spain as well. I mean, we'll get more of a Europe that people that are more federalist would want, basically. I mean, I've been seeing that, for example, the SPD wants a European finance minister, which is really interesting. So we'll get the the push in Europe from the Germans to have someone responsible for the budget. And once that starts happening, really, how can we not be a country already? As Europe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
except AfD, all of the German parties are Die Linke, perhaps not as well, but
Yeah.
all the other parties are very, very federalist.
Yeah.
Not explicitly always, but the Greens have a federal republic of Europe in their manifesto.
No. That wasn't. You were saying Germany. Yeah, that's what the Germans think. Europe is. It's just another federal Germany.
Yeah, of course. I
Yeah.
just stumbled upon my words. That was nothing. Oh, Führer. Oh.
Yeah. It's I mean, what? You guys just need a king.
No, first of all, they don't. Second of all, why do you think Merkel doesn't want to be the German chancellor anymore? Because she wants to be the European one. That's obvious to me.
No, she stated already that she will take a long vacation.
Yeah, until Europe becomes federal, and then you can see her there.
She
comes
returns
back.
as the Iron Chancellor of Europe.
It's the Return of the Emperor, Star Wars new movie. So let's go towards a bit of a different look at it. We talked about the European side of things, but what about the German politics? What are the biggest issues that are they the same, like immigration and stuff? Do you have something that maybe on the social issues? What's like the big issues in Germany right now?
Nothing, really.
Yeah. That's Germany for you. Why are you supporting Germany? Fuck.
The election campaign was really, really, really boring. There was really, I don't think that there was any main stream discussion about any content. Really.
Vote for us, I guess. What do you stand for? I don't know. Look, whatever, left, right.
So climate was, of course, a bit of an issue, and the floods gave to it as well.
Yeah, and the Greens managed to not gain any votes from it. So
yeah. So because it was pushed away from the CDU, right? They knew they don't have any stand there, so they started to go on a personal level again. So I don't like the campaign at all this time around.
I mean, to be fair, it's 3 weeks from now. I would imagine right about now it would start to actually become like the big campaigning would start now. I would imagine. It's not like you don't start a month earlier, whatever, 2 to 3 weeks. That's how much it usually is, right?
Of course, COVID was a bit of a topic. Afghanistan was a bit of a topic, but nothing really catched on, and there were no strong statements from any of the candidates.
Why
right?
are you all supporting? Can't you have one of them going, let's make vaccines mandatory, or someone going, let's make a European army so Afghanistan doesn't happen again? Like one person with a spine, can a German do something?
Olaf Scholz literally tries to be Angela Merkel, right?
Yeah.
With red paint.
Yeah.
Does he put on a wig as well? That's what I want. Would be interesting.
Well, we'll definitely see a lot of changes, which are unexpected. Then,
I mean,
from German stance in
from
Europe.
the sound of it, doesn't sound like it, but sure.
Perhaps we end up with black, red, and yellow coalition.
Yeah.
Basically, the liberals joining the Grand Coalition, which means another 4 years of standstill.
Yeah.
So,
standstill is relative, of course.
I mean, the real question here is, I think everyone is thinking about it. Has the SPD leader learned the Merkel hand position? Since he wants to be Merkel, he needs to be able to do that. Otherwise, how would people even know that's Germany,
I think he'll wait up until after the election. When he first appears, he will show the Raute and everybody.
You know how in the past everyone knew Germany because of the fascist salute? Now it's going to be that the Merkel sign is how you know that's the German chancellor on every international setting. So people will know, that's the German one.
Yeah.
You Germans
That
and
wouldn't
your
surprise
hands.
me, to be honest. Why not? It's nice to know who's the chancellor.
Says the Italian.
Yeah.
With his
There you
hands
go.
moving
Yeah.
all the time.
And
Schiff is posting
you
the
know what's the
picture.
best part of it? Doesn't matter what it is, you will always end up trying to be Italians. So even there, it still has to be something with your hands. Can't you just stop it? It's embarrassing.
No, man, this is deep German. The
You have
Goths
to
and the
set
Visigoths.
uniforms as well, right?
The Germans love us a bit too much.
Yeah, it's just that. Yeah, exactly. The hand gesture. I believe that these days, when you watch football, when the Italian team is playing, there's counters that count how many times the hand gesture happens during the game.
I don't know. I
We'll
just
possibly
count.
see something like that from Germany as well.
You have to take a shot every time an Italian makes a hand gesture.
I just count the number of shots we have on the other opponent's nets and how many times we win and not lose. Just saying.
Yeah. So if Germany does that as well, that would be cool.
You could start winning again like we do.
Yeah.
Might try it.
Don't talk about football at the moment. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Well, we draw. Was it against Bulgaria, I think, or something like that in the World Cup qualifications? So still haven't lost yet, but not doing great. They are a bit tired, I think, probably.
Yeah.
We are tired of winning.
Matter,
We want so much, we are tired of winning. I think that's what Trump means.
Oh dear, We'll get you yet. Next time we'll play against Italy, we'll win.
Speaking of which, really important news here. In a few days, we might be able to get the town, the city, where the next Eurovision is going to be held. It's not going to be either Sanremo or Rome. Those are out of the competition.
Yeah.
I really like how there is a competition to decide where a competition is going to be held. I think that's
it's a bit meta, It's a bit meta, to be honest.
Yeah. I think it might end up being either Milan or maybe Rimini.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I think it would be better Rimini, to be honest. It's on the sea and stuff. Milan is a bit meh. No one likes Milan here. It's it's really sad.
But it has that international fashion image, which is that's the only thing.
But it's really sad. It's a sad city. No one wants to live there. Like, people want to work there because you make money, but no one wants to actually live in Milan. No one does.
So your choice would be Rimini, basically.
Probably it's where we're going to end up. But you never know. There are some other cities as well in the
in the running.
Yeah, in the running. So you never know.
Oh, interesting. But well, we can only hope that Germany sends someone better this year. Sorry, PH. But I mean, I don't know if anyone listening has seen the Eurovision from last year,
They're going to send
the
Merkel.
previous one.
I
Oh
can't.
yes, please. Oh
Could you
yes, please, man.
could you imagine if she sent her at the
She
Eurovision?
would have the better hand gesture, right?
I mean, she would be in Italy, so it would be quite the competition. But yeah, she would try to. So before we go to our next topic,
Yeah.
our dear guest, can you stay here or do you need to go back to your children, which are Mr. Daddy?
I don't know. I haven't heard anyone scream until now, so
Yeah, Snor knows the. I mean, he doesn't
Yeah,
know.
I know
That
the
doesn't really
pain. I
happen
know the
much to
pain,
him,
you
but
know.
he
My, my,
knows.
my, my children either fight or have great time just before bed. So it's but I'm lucky that my wife tolerates me and takes them upstairs for me on a Saturday night.
So
So
since you
I,
can,
I'm
since,
good.
since you can stay here a while, it would be interesting to have. So uh, some of you might not know he's a mod of the Eurofederalist and the European
Mm,
Army subreddits. So
mm,
I think you would have an interesting point of view here. Our next topic is about EU and US relations after Afghanistan, and
yeah.
I mean
Oh,
everything that can, everything that comes after the whole Afghanistan fiasco. So, would
yeah.
you like, first of all, what uh, what do you think when it comes to Europe and the US? Like our relationship, how is it going to change? Do you think the European army might become reality? We did discuss it a bit last week. There are
Mm.
some steps towards it. So, what
hmm.
does the best mod of the European army subreddit think?
So yeah, it's a hard question, obviously. Um,
We don't have easy ones here.
yeah.
Sorry.
Um,
It always starts out, this is going to be easy, but in the end, it's always a difficult thing.
Yeah,
That's
it's
that's
European, right?
basically it's
yeah,
always more in depth than you've actually ever imagined.
yeah. It's when it comes to this podcast, we start. Yeah, it's a simple issue. Just do that, and then you start talking about it and considering all the aspects it has, and then we end up saying, "Yeah, it's complicated. Let's go to the next topic."
Yeah, exactly. Every time, So, I
Mm,
mean, if you look at what's happened just in Afghanistan, isn't Macron been proven right? Isn't he like opening a bottle of wine right now? Going,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
the NATO is completely brain dead, so we
Yeah.
might as well do something about it. I
Yeah.
think that
Yeah. I think Europe has slept too long, right?
mm,
So it was like, oh yeah, after the fall of the Iron Curtain, we have won history. The West is now the standard.
yeah,
Democracy will rule over the world, and so yeah, let's
mm,
start sleeping a bit.
Yeah, and let's have a genocide right on the Balkans. Do nothing about it. But we
Yeah,
won. Nothing happens.
yeah, yeah. Sure. Thank you, US.
I mean,
Uh,
after
and
Trump, I mean, let's be honest. Trump changed the game, didn't he?
yeah,
Once Trump was elected, and what happened in Helsinki, and what happened elsewhere
The thing is, I
in
don't
his
agree.
rampage,
Yeah, I
his
don't.
rampage
I, don't-
across Europe, the first
yeah,
and the
no,
second
I don't
time,
agree at all. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I really like Trump. No, the thing is, Trump.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying I'm saying he's good for Europeans,
Yeah, no, I
because
know.
he's yeah.
No, the thing, I
So
don't.
so
Trump made it apparent and made it a bit more obvious, but even before him, when it came
mm,
to Obama, it's not
yeah,
like if it was Bush, he would probably have gone to Libya with troops.
yeah,
When it came to Syria, he didn't. He would have gone there. So
yeah,
even before Trump, when it came to Libya and Syria, the US already was going towards a more isolationist policy. Then Trump, maybe what he did, he went a bit faster than maybe if we had, let's say, Hillary Clinton back then instead of him. I think she would have done pretty much the same things, just slower. So maybe they would have not gone out of Afghanistan now, but in 2 to 3 years, let's say. So I don't think it would have happened regardless, just a bit later, because the US was already going towards a more isolationist policy. The American citizens were already quite done with the whole world police. So yes, Trump made it more apparent, made it more obvious that they were going towards that. But it's not really. I don't think it's too fair to say that Trump did it, because it almost makes it look like since Trump isn't there, then it's not an issue anymore. The U.S. has always been isolationist. Then we had World War II. Then they did some things, and then now they're going back.
The German reaction looked a bit like this, right? So Trump was gone, and suddenly everything was all right again. Thank you, Mr. Biden. The Germans are at your disposal again.
I mean, under the CDU, that would be the case, right?
Yeah.
But not under the SPD, probably. That's the thing.
Well, yes. I mean, to some degree, I mean, you would hope for
SPD, Linke, Grüne would definitely not,
I mean,
be on
yes,
Biden's behest, as it were.
but on the other hand, they like Putin, so you never know what the fuck they are Germans. You can't expect much from them.
Yeah, the problem with the Germans is that after the Second World War, we don't know how to make foreign policy.
It's easy. Just give your money to Italy, let Italy do it.
We are giving money to French already, to the French already, right?
So give them to us. So can you really expect the French to do a good job? No.
No.
Have you ever seen
that's
Italy
what you
lose?
have the Dutch for,
Have you ever seen Italy lose though? I don't think so. We are always on the winning side, no matter what. So just saying, we didn't lose 2 world wars. We didn't go bankrupt 2 times. Everyone goes on and on about the German economy being solid and stuff.
And still Germany is better. I mean, imagine that.
Is it though? I mean, they defaulted twice. We didn't.
Yeah, but that doesn't
ever.
matter. Look at it. I mean, it's a very nice country.
Yeah, but then why do they all come here?
And it has money.
Why do they all come here when it comes to summer?
That's like the most important thing. I mean, for me, I have to see money.
Yes, yes, they have money, but what's the point of working the whole year just to have a few money left so you can go to Italy? Might as well just be in Italy from the start, I'm just saying.
Yeah. But I mean, we are seeing that movement. I mean, like we discussed before. There's a lot of people buying property in Italy. Whereas Italians are having to move elsewhere to get jobs. I mean, that's the thing. So.
Well, I mean, depends.
In the end, you're a special case, Dante, of course.
But obviously, we are all special cases in here. If you are on foreign Gottesfunk, you are a special case. Don't worry.
Special case, exactly. But I think, with Biden in control, I mean, with the Afghanistan, what just happened in Afghanistan, everyone just it just shocked everyone how disorganized the NATO withdrawal was, I think. And, with a more proactive Europe, as it were, coming up, I mean, I can see that there will always be people in Europe that are against a European army, but one of the options basically, that there will be countries that don't want to have anything to do with it.
Yeah, but
For
as long
example, maybe Ireland, or I mean, there's plenty of places that
yes,
have that.
but it's not like those
Um,
two
but
planes
we
and 20
no
guys are going to
no
change much.
no exactly. I mean, we live in a two-speed Europe, don't we?
I mean, let's be honest here
There
for a
will
second.
be a coalition of countries that will be for it for the
If
first
we are
one.
talking about a European
Yeah.
army, uh, as soon as you have Italy, Germany, and France, just those three. I mean, honestly, on anything federal. If you just have
Yeah.
Italy, France, and Germany together, you already have the three biggest economies, most people
Yeah.
and stuff. So just those three can do a lot.
Yeah.
And
And of
if
course,
those
Benelux
three,
as the junior partner at the table. Then
yeah.
I mean,
The thing
you
is,
see that
if
always.
those three start something,
Yeah.
everyone else
Then
is
it
going to just
happens. Yeah. Well, most of them are just going to join it. I
yeah, I mean,
mean, you will see.
if you're talking army, Spain for
Yeah.
sure is going to be there from the
Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
Greece is going to jump on it like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Help us, because the Turks have sent another wave
then
of
there's
fighters our
Cyprus.
way.
Can you imagine?
And Cyprus.
Do you think
Yeah,
Cyprus would not
yeah,
jump on that? Like, oh, we are having a European army.
yeah.
Let me just use it to
But
like.
that's assuming that there isn't no such thing as NATO, in the United States. And even though Biden has, severely fucked it up, basically,
The thing
as
though
far as
is,
Europeans are concerned.
you don't. It's not like you need to quit NATO to make a European army. Like the
Yeah,
thing,
that's true.
we do. To,
The
it
structure
makes
still
sense.
exists and still has a lot of power, which is what I'm
I mean, the
saying.
thing
It's not
is,
like you can discount it.
I think the issue is that people see the idea of the European army as an alliance, and therefore
Yeah,
you compare it to NATO.
yeah,
But if you
yeah,
look at the European army as just the army of the European Union, not as an
yeah,
alliance,
yeah,
then it's simply the European army is part of the NATO alliance.
yeah,
They
yeah,
don't
yeah,
have to be two separate things. You could
yeah,
say NATO in its just by itself is dead. We need a European army to counterbalance
yeah,
within NATO. Like I
yeah,
think that's if we are going to get something, it's probably going to be more towards that instead of just
yeah.
removing NATO from the world stage. Because
Mm. I
even
mean,
with its issues,
yeah,
because it has a lot of issues right now,
yeah,
no matter what, anyone else still.
yeah,
You don't expect now NATO to do much proactively right now,
yeah, yeah,
but when it comes as a defensive union, like a defensive
yeah.
alliance, you don't
It's
exactly
still
poke the NATO
very,
bear,
yeah.
you know?
We can't rely on just France for the nuclear umbrella, for example. It's just that's just ridiculous.
We
Well, I
need
mean,
Scotland as
actually,
well,
to
right?
be honest,
Maybe someday Scotland.
to be honest, France already has its nuclear umbrella over Europe as part of its policy
Yeah,
to some degree. So, and you don't need that many nukes. Like France mostly can cover Europe. If it needs a few more, I'm not sure, but they do
yeah,
have more than enough.
yeah,
It's either enough or close to it if we are talking just about the nuclear umbrella, but it's not
yeah.
like that's the word is not just about that. Uh,
No. Well, I mean,
but the
it
thing is,
matters
if
because the
China,
rest of it.
let's say China needs to attack Italy,
Yeah,
there is a difference between attacking
yeah,
Italy and the European Union, attacking Italy,
yeah.
the European Union, and
And
US
NATO.
and
Yeah, yeah,
everyone else in NATO. Like,
yeah,
why not have everyone on board? The thing
yeah,
is, you can't expect NATO to do proactive things as it used to do to some degree,
yeah, yeah,
and you need
yeah.
probably
There
the
will more
European
be
army to
more
do that.
background, and I mean, it's the idea that the European Union will be the world policeman, and NATO and at least the Atlantic policeman, and NATO and the US will be the world policeman, basically. I mean, that's the idea, I think.
Not necessarily that. I don't. The thing is, I don't think the U.S. is going to go more on too many adventures.
Yeah,
They're just.
not under Biden anyway. I
If
mean, expect
I think it's
reasonably.
going to be more on instead of being like a world police, simply defending allies. Yes,
Yeah,
like if someone attacks, if Japan gets attacked by North Korea, yes, I expect the
Yeah,
US to help
yeah,
Japan, but
exactly.
it's not going to go within Syria because weapons have been used against civilians. It's not going to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if you can expect NATO to be a military alliance between among the members, but like a defensive one. If you
Yeah,
want
yeah,
the world police part of it, the European Union has to do it if it wants to.
yeah, yeah,
Otherwise, no one will do it. I think it's pretty
Mm.
clear by now. Just
yeah,
looking at how Libya and Syria went and how
yeah.
Afghanistan is going, I don't think there is a world police in the world anymore by now. I
No,
mean,
no, no, no. I
and
think
just
that.
saying, there is a
Yeah,
country called China. It has
mm,
literally genocide going on. The
yeah.
Germans would know about it. They are quite
Mm.
experts at it. And,
Oof,
China is
yeah,
doing it
yeah,
again and no one cares. So
yeah,
the
yeah,
idea of
yeah.
a
That's
world
true.
police is quite
It's
out of
quite
the
out
window, I
of
think.
quite out of yeah, yeah. That's true. That's true. I mean,
Mm.
that's we're living also in a post-COVID world, which is has shown that countries can be laid low quite easily when it comes to public health. I mean, except for North Korea. North Korea is just. I read this week that they rejected all help for the COVID vaccine so far because they want to do it the North Korean way, which is just basically shooting people. Let's be honest, right?
I mean, the thing
I
is,
mean, they're the only ones that have their own policy that can't be affected by anything the West does. If you mess with us, we'll take away your vaccines, kind of thing. You know.
I
So
mean, you kind of need to care to some
yeah,
degree about the people in
yeah,
your country. If you don't,
yeah,
don't
yeah,
really need a
exactly.
vaccine.
Are you a country?
I
Are
mean,
you even a country if you don't?
I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
Kim got its shot,
yeah,
maybe even more than 3, 4, whatever, just to make sure.
yeah,
The generals and everyone else, if they are young enough, they maybe don't die, and if they die, that's on them, and that's
yeah,
how they do.
yeah.
Why would they care? It's not like they care enough to
Yeah,
care.
but the real question is, of course, which crisis will be next? The European Union and basically the world goes from crisis to crisis and basically learns something from it.
Yeah,
So
do we?
I mean, if we're looking at foreign policy wise, I mean, China versus Taiwan is one, North Korea is another. Russia, the situation in Belarus is one that could flare up, of course. I mean, there's a number of crises that can affect,
My
the
money.
EU,
And
US.
that's a good
Yeah,
point,
I
right?
mean,
yeah, I think
Before we start with a European army, we just need a European foreign policy first.
yeah, exactly, and I think that's
uh,
that's the key.
the thing
And could we
is,
trust that to the current commission? Is the question. I mean,
I
we
don't know
feel some
that. Like,
morale.
I don't know that
That
I fully agree. Like, I agree to some degree, but on the other,
yeah,
how can you
We
have a foreign policy if you don't have an army?
we have the battle groups and never used them, right?
yeah,
Yes. The thing is, I don't know if you know about it. Probably yes. The idea is to have 50,000 strong. Is it a division? Is it a
yeah,
squad? Whatever it's called.
mm,
Uh, which would be like the battle groups, but a bit different. We
yeah,
actually don't know yet. The thing is, if it's made of, if it's a European, as European, an EU body, as in not made of people from national armies, but people
mm,
that the EU raises, its own
Hmm.
soldiers, then it
yeah.
could use them. If it's like the battle groups, you are
No,
never you're going
no,
to use the
it
battle
couldn't.
groups.
It couldn't use them
I mean,
because
like
you need a
the
full
foreign
vote
policy.
of the council as
Yeah,
well.
Yes,
yeah,
but what I'm saying is, at that point, if you have that, and on the council side you can have a qualified majority vote when it comes to foreign policy,
Yeah, we
then
need that.
you can
That's what
have
I'm
it.
talking about.
Yeah, the thing is, I think you need both. You can't have just one or the other, because
mm.
if you have the
Mm.
qualified
You
majority
you
voting,
can you can write more strong worded letters if you
yes,
have qual- you don't have a veto, right?
Yes, sure, but they're nice letters,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I
Sanctions
mean,
as
the
well,
interesting
right?
thing is, to me, is how this will. Can we have a European army without a treaty change? It's also the question.
yeah, I think yes.
I mean, we've seen with Frontex that you can go quite far, but having an actual European army, I think it kind of depends which countries sign up to it.
I mean, the
As
thing,
you said, Greece and Italy and Germany will probably be in. France will probably be in because they really hate being alone in Mali. They need our help. It'll quickly grow out to be something like Frontex. With
yeah,
instead of 50K,
yeah. I mean,
it'll suddenly
if it
be
starts,
200K to
if
2 million. I mean, it's
if it
yeah,
starts, it would grow larger and larger because it would take on more missions, and
yeah,
you need some people to take care of that mission even while
yeah,
the initial stage is done. You still need some
yeah,
people later on. Like let's say, for example, in Kosovo, we have some missions to police and to
yeah,
help them do some stuff. It's more on the civil servant side of things, less on the active military side, but still, it's still an ongoing
That's
mission.
that's very
yeah,
very different from member state to member state.
Yeah, no, yeah, I know. The thing is, right now, when it comes to European missions, uh, there are European missions where member states send their own armies, which are
yeah,
working on a European mission, but it's still that member
Hmm.
state's army.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. It's all a bit convoluted at that point. I
the
mean,
thing,
as
if
long as there's a hot body on the floor, that's
the thing is, if
yeah,
at least that's, I think, if the idea is to have a European army, it has
yeah,
to be uh, people that sign up for the European army. Like it's the EU that pays them, not the member
Hmm.
state, because
I
otherwise you would need each member state to change their own constitution, probably. On the other hand, it would be just the EU raising its own
yeah,
army. It's not Italy doesn't. It's not like Italy is giving its own army to the EU. Italy still has its
yeah,
own army, as in, I don't know if it's the same in Germany. Does
yeah,
Germany, since it's a federal country,
yeah,
does each state still has its own army, or
no, because
can they do?
Germany was demilitarized after the Second World War,
Yeah, that's a fair point.
and and the Bundeswehr is the federal army.
yeah, yeah. It's the replacement for the old
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess
We don't have
the,
any
yeah,
paramilitaries in
yeah.
Germany.
I guess it would be more similar to the
Don't you
US
dare,
in that
no.
regard. Like in the US, you have Texas, which has a relatively, I mean, it's not big, but relatively to the others, relatively big army. Then you have California, which has pretty much almost nothing. So each state has its own army if they want to, and then there's the federal army. So you can, as a soldier, you can either sign up for the federal one or the state one,
Yeah,
and
Why
that
not both?
way, yeah. I mean, I wonder if you can do both. To be honest, maybe you could, but either way, uh, if you do that, if you can sign up for the EU army, it would be a lot easier for the EU to vote on that. Because
yeah,
if the EU needs to send its own army, you just need the Council to vote in. If it
Hmm.
needs to send out the European army and the German army and the French army,
yeah.
I
Then
mean,
it won't.
Italy needs
Nothing
to
will
sign
happen.
on
Yeah,
it. You can't have Italy sending its own army without
yeah,
having Parliament or whatever sign on that.
yeah. True, 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 true.
Unless
Yeah,
you
I,
say
I, I
it's an
would.
implicit accept, you always
Yeah,
accept, but to do that you need to change the constitution to some degree,
yeah, yeah,
which would be a
Yeah,
lot harder too, I think.
that would be the German imperial model.
I
So
mean,
yeah,
it
yeah,
kind of depends how
I'm
the yeah,
serious, right?
yeah,
So the German Empire had mostly the Prussian army,
Yeah.
and the Prussian army absorbed all the smaller armies into the Prussian army,
yeah,
except Bavaria,
But I was going to say
Baden-Württemberg,
Bavaria.
yeah, yeah.
and Saxony. and they had their own armies, but there were, in case of war, they had to join the Prussian army.
Okay,
And that's why you get the Brits saying in World War One that the Prussians bad people, but the Bavarians, not that bad.
funny
So
that,
I mean,
So
it's not like they wanted to be on that war, so it makes sense.
yeah.
The
The
Prussians
get out
liked
of
it,
jail free card, yeah,
so
exactly. Oh, nice, But I mean,
yeah. But the thing is, that was an empire
yeah,
which could
yeah,
compel, and it was the Prussian army making the others do what it wanted to. But you can't have the European army telling Italy, "Your army now it's mine."
yeah,
I mean, anything can be done if you change every constitution, sure. But I think the more, like on one hand,
I think you have to work with coalitions of the willing in the end.
exactly.
You
that
have a small core of a European army that's mostly logistics, command, and perhaps medics.
the thing though is, if we get that 50,000 people, which if that is an actual European army, as in
Yeah,
not part, it's not an army of any member state, it's an army of the EU.
yeah,
Sure, you can't actually. It's not like you can go on and wage wars or whatever, but that's a lot. You can go and interfere to some degree in some places.
yeah,
I understand. Like I think on the legal side of things, that would be easier to some than having Italy or the coalition of the willing, if you want
yeah.
something effective at least. But on
Yeah,
the other hand, I
you need a
understand that.
defense minister is basically what you're saying. You
Yeah, I
need a
mean,
defense minister for the EU to make that call. Then I
yeah,
mean that's the
exactly.
thing. And
Which would work probably with the
yeah,
foreign minister, and I mean depends. Then I mean
yeah.
that's
But then
would be
does
similar
that mean
to
the
any
creation of
country.
a new European? We have the European Defense Agency. We have the EEAS. The
External Action
European
Service.
External Action Service. Yeah. Does that mean then we might be looking at the creation of even a new department,
Well, it
as it
depends.
were?
As you
Yeah.
know, in the past,
That has the authority to act on behalf of the council.
some
I think it's more about clustering, right?
yeah,
We
exactly.
have the different clusters within the commission. We have lots and lots of commissioners, so we get a defense commissioner, and the defense commissioner is in the cluster of the foreign policy guy.
Yeah, I mean, and when it comes to those agency institutions, we already have. If you look back in the past, we had a nuclear one. We had quite a few. Before it was even the European Union, we usually start doing specialized ones. Then we just cluster them all up in a new one, and then I mean, literally, we had the European economic area and whatever, and then we made the European Union. Same thing can be done again with when it comes to defense. And I mean, if you're talking about ministers, uh, it's not even like there's just one. I mean, if when Italy goes to war or when it just uses its army, it's not just one
Yeah.
person. There's the president of the republic has some say in it in theory. There's the prime minister, then there's the defense minister, then the foreign minister. Everyone is like there's the generals. It's not like there's one person. So
Yeah.
it would be the same when it comes to the EU. And
Absolutely.
the thing is, legally, I think that would be the easiest in some ways because you just have that, and then maybe you just have the council having a hopefully qualified majority vote. But even if it's a unanimous vote, it's just the council. You don't have to go through each member state then. But on the other hand, when it comes to optics, the idea that the EU can raise its own army, I mean, that's literally when you have an entity which has its own people that fight for that entity and defends its borders. And since we are getting the EU being able to raise its own taxes to some degree, if you can raise taxes and you can protect the place you raise taxes on, that's called a country. So
I mean, it's getting there, you know. I mean, and especially, I mean, like we were talking earlier in the program about the SPD now being the possible winners of the election. You know, that will definitely change that as well.
Well,
It's
the thing
Some
is,
SPD members proposed a so-called 28th army of the European member states.
yeah,
So they said put people from all member states into another army,
yeah.
basically an EU army.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
So,
it's not unfeasible to think that, you
I mean,
know, if the European army is created to get to that 50,000 people fast, what they'll probably do is recruit from the existing member states' army, and then you know you already have a force then ready to go.
I mean, let's be honest here.
Yeah,
What even is a country? It's a piece
yeah,
of land where you raise
yeah,
tax, you get taxes from, and you can defend it from others. As long as you
yeah,
can do
yeah,
that,
yeah.
that's literally a country. If it's
Yeah,
a kingdom, whatever you want.
and legally, because the UK has accepted that the EU is diplomatically the same as as a country. You know, the UK and the US all recognize the EU already, so we're already there, guys. You know,
Yeah,
federalism has already happened now.
I mean, you claim a land,
Yeah,
you raise
Yeah,
taxes, and then if
yeah,
someone else comes to claim your land, you defend it
yeah,
because you have an army.
yeah,
That's what a
yeah.
country is. So,
Yeah, no, no. You also need the judiciary, which is what you know,
not really,
and
not
border control. Yeah, no,
not
there's all
so.
those little side issues as well. You know,
Those
which
are
we
all
already have, by the
those
way. You
are
know,
all things
Frontex and
that you
you know,
then need to add on top of it if
yeah,
you want to have a liberal country, if you want to have democracy, whatever. But if you just want a country, those are the only two
yeah,
things you need. If you want to be a kingdom, whatever,
yeah,
it's just those two things. As long as you have the
yeah,
power to enact your will with an army, as
yeah.
in people can't come in
I
your
mean,
own
basically,
and
that's what
raise the
it comes down
taxes.
to.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
those
That's
things.
the EU4. That's the EU4 a way of looking at things, though. You know,
Which, if you think about that,
yeah,
if the Link got their way around it, if they abolished the German army,
yeah.
Germany isn't a country anymore. Which, I
Uh,
mean, on one hand,
I mean,
yes. On the
yeah.
other hand, I mean, it would be nice, you know? It would be interesting.
we had that time, right?
Yeah. That's already happened, man. You know,
Yeah,
again,
it was nice back
it'd
then.
be back to the old days, is what you're saying. You
I mean,
know.
there was a time when we liked Germany so much, we wanted two of them. So,
Yeah.
can't do it again.
Yeah.
We had like hundreds of them.
Yeah, that was a bit too many Germanys. Hundreds of
Oh dear,
Germanys
oh
and
dear.
hundreds of Italy. Everyone
Yeah,
together
no,
in a
no. I mean,
clusterfuck.
let's be honest, right? Without the EU, we'd all be at each other's throats straight away. You know,
Yeah,
In a friendly way, of
yeah,
course.
in a
of course.
friendly way,
Of
up
course.
to a point. You know, so even if the EU didn't exist, we'd have to invent it, basically. You know, otherwise we'd kill each other.
Otherwise, the
So
Germans would already be crossing
yeah.
Belgium and then stealing the Dutch bikes to
Yeah,
invade France.
But
yeah.
on a side note, that's why the AfD can't get along with all the other far right parties at the
Yeah,
moment
exactly. You know,
in Europe.
they always, and
Because
this is the interesting thing, they always try to form these new coalitions and new things and stuff, and they never work out.
I mean,
yeah, it's because the AfD still has the German exit in their
Yeah,
manifesto.
yeah,
but
Now,
the thing is, if you want to be a Nazi Polish, sure. If you want to be a Nazi French, sure. But you can't be for the Nazi Germans because you know that
yeah,
Nazi Germans are going to come for you. So you can't exactly get along with them. So I think that's
the Italians can, right?
yeah. I mean, but we are friends,
The,
Dave.
the,
It's
the
different.
Italian fascists can.
Yeah, but the thing is, now we get your
They're old
money.
exes, you know.
Yeah, we get your money though. Why would we want to
No,
exit?
that's the Swiss.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, those two.
yeah. I mean, you know,
The thing is, the
the
Swiss
the
got your
yeah,
money because you gave them stuff that wasn't yours, but at least you sold something to them. Now Italy is
yeah,
getting German money without doing anything. It's like the
yeah,
perfect plan.
and then Yeah, and then you're spending it
on beaches
on
and wine.
on Dutch products.
No, no,
Yeah, nice
I
beaches
mean, it's a nice circle we have going here. You know, I
is
mean,
not nothing, right?
yeah.
on
I mean,
drugs.
but more, on a more serious note, you've got the blue banana basically. You know, I mean, the blue banana is the economic zone which stretches between London and
Not anymore.
the Po Valley in Italy, right?
Not anymore,
Yeah, of
London.
course. You know, London. I mean, London doesn't matter anymore.
It's
So
not part of the
just calm
banana
down.
anymore.
Yeah.
The, the
So
banana was
the
too
meaning head
bendy.
of the banana is basically, you know, the Netherlands, then the Ruhrgebiet, and then down into Italy straight from there.
Or
You know?
can you say that again, please?
Yeah,
Don't.
In Dutch.
By the way,
What's the Gebiet called again?
das Ruhrgebiet.
Ja, danke schön.
Ah, kein Problem, kein Problem. Ich muss mehr mal Deutsch wieder
yeah.
üben.
So, ein, zwei,
So let's,
Polizei, and
yeah.
thing, that and stuff. The
Anyway, you know,
songs.
I think for the night we should leave it there.
Hey, we discussed almost two topics.
We almost discussed two topics, so that's nice, you know. As usual, you can find us on Twitch
And on YouTube.
and on YouTube.
And on Forum
And
Gottesfunken, if you really want
yeah,
to.
always. If you really want to, you know, you can ping us, and we'll probably be there somewhere.
Don't ping me.
Yeah.
Don't ping pH neutral.
Or do that.
Yeah.
I will not ban you, so you can do that if you want.
Yeah. Anyway, it's been a good night. We've discussed a lot.
Yeah.
Many thanks to you, PH, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for the invite.
It was nice to have for once someone that isn't stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
Like us too.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah,
So,
and of course, we'll have a little after party in the audio channel as usual.
yeah,
So,
if you feel like you didn't have enough of our voices, you can join us there, I guess. So, good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.